right, guys. Let's move on to the next stage. All right, guys. So for this next part here, we're just going to get into, a little interview here with our special guest, Dylan Nichols. Now, Dylan, you told us a little bit about, you, but you barely touched the surface. So
give us a little sauce.
You gave us a little taste of the sauce. So you started off with artist management, is that correct?
Started off with actually digital marketing roles and working with clubs, and one of the first club kind of gigs I got was doing marketing with Echo Stage, which is currently the #1 nightclub in America. But at the time, I was just...
Now, for people who aren't familiar with Echo Stage, can you give it a little bit about
Echo
that?
Stage is a club located in Bladensburg, I always say it wrong, right outside of D.C., or I guess inside DC limits.
Okay.
It holds about 5,000 people, I believe. I think that's kind of what the fire marshal said, but they always go past that.
Right.
So, the guy that owns that club, Antonis, he also owns pretty much every other major nightclub in D.C., Soundcheck, there's a couple of them, Decades. So I worked with them, and then I also grew my own kind of social media influencer page called the Rave Chronicles. We grew about 60,000 followers in the first year. Ooh. And it really kind of put together...
Show some love for that.
In the first year.
It was a way, I did it as a way to connect fans to new music. Because so often, we're... now working in marketing to understand why, they're hearing the same artists over and over. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to kind of give a connection point between maybe the underground artist and, an audience that they otherwise would have to spend a lot of money to reach, or they just wouldn't know how to. Mm-hmm. So then that got me into the artist management side. I met at the time he was 16. His name is Squalls. He's a very talented producer.
Shout out to Squalls. We're going to clap for everything.
Yeah. Shout out to Squalls, man. Squalls is dope.
Yeah, thanks. And then from there, we started from the ground up. We had 0 streams, and then by the end of 2019, we had collectively almost 10 million. And he had remixed Ty Dolla $ign, Wiz Khalifa. Ty Dolla $ign came out on stage with the Chainsmokers and performed his remix at Lollapalooza, which is one of the biggest festivals in America.
Wow.
Crazy.
And that was kind of a defining moment. And then also my good friend Liquid Todd, he really helped spearhead it by playing his remix of Alone by Marshmello on SiriusXM for like 8 to 10 weeks in a row.
And can we just say, how much do people get paid for a stream on SiriusXM?
It depends.
Roughly.
It depends your distributor, and sometimes you'll see $30, $40 per play. Now, obviously, that gets into radio promotion and a whole nother conversation for another time. But it's a good segue. But not only that, SiriusXM is one of the, most open platforms. There's a channel for everybody. It's one of the only radio subscription-based models out there. Usually radio is free for most people, so it's the only way an artist can really get paid back on radio. So he got played out in that for quite some time, and then it led me to, end up working with my mentor and kind of co-manager, Matthew Danger, who's worked on projects I can't even go down a list right now. He has his own artist project who has been doing, millions of streams for years. And then he introduced me to Gattuso, who's one of the acts I work with now.
Shout out to Gattuso.
Yeah, shout out to Gattuso.
Shout out to Gattuso.
I remember going to that show in DC. We went to go see Gattuso, man. That was fire.
So, and then since we worked with Gattuso, he's done roughly like 300 million streams. He's placed Billboard 3 or 4 times. He had a 200-city tour booked. Sorry, not 200-show tour booked at the beginning of the pandemic. Unfortunately, we got to play 8 before everything was canceled. And just overall, then I ended up creating TNT Records. We've done 6 releases since August. It's somewhere around 3 or 4 million streams already. And now we're at we're number 2 on Billboard dance charts.
Oh, I didn't do it.
I want to do it.
How do I do it? No, but that's definitely something to celebrate, just because when you say that number 2 on Billboard, it's like, I just hope people understand, it's not the hard work that goes into that. And it's like, just knowing you for the amount of time I've known you and seeing the endless hours you put in. Right. What is it? How does one even get to that position to get to number 2 on Billboard?
There is a whole release plan that goes into it. And not just a normal release plan. You can do a release plan that guarantees you, nothing's guaranteed, but you can do a release plan where you're trying to aim for millions of streams. That's one thing. Billboard is solely based on radio phasing, how many stations pick you up, how often you're streamed.
So it's
on
like
the radio.
placements.
It's placements, and it's working with radio promoters, and it's a whole conglomerate of things that go together, and it's perfect timing and execution, making sure, hey, this week we want to attack number 5, so this is all the pieces we have to move and the different radio hosts that we have to work with, and it's endless. You know, we've been on the Billboard charts with that record for 12 weeks, and it took us 12 weeks to get to number 2, but in the same time, 12 weeks, people that were on it for a week dropped off after 1. So it's a lot of maintaining. You know, there's a budget that goes into it. You got to work with a great guy. And we worked with Total Smash, and he's one of the best radio promoters I've ever worked with. So he made it happen.
That's amazing.
And right, after everything's said, like, you know what I mean, you being from Hagerstown too as well and stuff, like, you know what I mean, making the big impact that you've made with the music is just crazy to me, you know what I mean? And it's just like, it's inspiring because, like, you know, me as an artist and other artists as well, it's like, you know what I mean, we come from the same area as you as well, so it's like we're trying to do the same thing and just kind of just branch out, expand. And let me ask you a question. How would you say that the pandemic of like COVID and everything, would you say that it has affected like your routine with your music? Has it benefited? Has it pros and cons? You know what I mean?
So it's benefited and it's become a little bit of a burden. Okay. So like I said, with Katusa, we had like 200 cities, or I keep saying cities, 200 shows booked. That's a lot of money. And that's a lot, you know, that's the artist's livelihood there. That's, you know, streams are something, but they're not the main source of an income for an artist. So that affected it. However, it changed things. And luckily our team was able to adapt to this change in sound, because Katusa, before this, he was a festival artist. Like, he made songs that go crazy at festival. They might not be the most streamable, easily consumable records. But, you know, we worked with our team. We came up with a sound that was very easily replicatable and catchy, something people could enjoy and, you know, get them through kind of hard times. He released a song called Life, which we ended up doing a music video for, where it was just everybody sending in clips of what makes life so special, or what made life so special pre-pandemic. And it was a way for us to connect to people that, you know, this was back in May. The pandemic was raging on. People were still locked in their homes. It was a rough time period. So it has changed things, both for the good and for the bad. But overall, I think we got out of it good.
Yeah, like I was gonna say, like even for like myself and stuff, you know what I mean, just doing stuff, even getting CKG sound, you know, CKG Entertainment and stuff. We have a partnership with you and stuff, and it's like, you know what I mean, just making moves, just, you know, just trying to stay busy even during the pandemic and stuff. Like, you know what I mean, it's been pretty prosperous for myself and others, and you know what I mean. It's just like, regardless of the situation at hand, you know what I mean, always try to adapt to the situation and just try to move forward. You know what I mean, whether that's financially, with the music, you know what I mean, your livelihood.
Yeah. Straight up. Yeah, and that's definitely a great point. And that kind of brings me to another question too. Like, you know, in terms of indie artists, what would be like one of your biggest pieces of advice to indie artists that are trying to get into the entertainment industry or get their brands seen? So
there's 2 things I would say. Invest your money and invest it well. Nothing is given in this industry. Everything is taken. Like, there will always be a price to pay. But make that financial move smartly, because if you're spending your money wisely, only good things will come from it. And I think me and you've worked on some of those things with your records, and we were able to kind of get those moving. And, you know, now I think both of you are in the tens of thousands of monthly listeners, and it's just investing in yourself wisely. 2 would be kind of, don't put too many irons in the fire, or don't try to move too quickly to the point where you're overwhelmed, because then things get messy, and it takes forever to kind of reorganize yourself. I was in the same position in 2019. I was trying to do way too much, and I was overwhelmed. Not that I don't do too much now, but I know how to manage myself better. Right. It's like when maybe you're not familiar with what you're doing yet, but you're trying to hurry it along, so that, you know, that doesn't make sense, so to say. If you don't know it, then why are you trying to hurry it? So take time to learn the process. Reach out. Right. Connections are everything. Connections will, like a connection master sheet. Every person you talk to.
What is it? Your network is as big as your net worth.
That's how it should be. You know, surround yourself too with people that have the same work ethic, because if you surround yourself with people that are taking a ton of time off and not really putting the effort into it that you put into it, then you're going to kind of, you know, energy transfers, in my opinion. Like, if you're working with a solid group of people that have the same energy as you, and they're looking, you know, the same goals you want to achieve, you're going to have better success, because then you can connect on things, you can work together, you can inspire each other. So
okay, so now let's bring it to the audience real quick. Now, do we have any questions for Dylan that anybody would like to ask or anything?
No, just congratulations on the... Hey! We got a popper! Woo!
Thank you.
Hell yeah.
Did you always know that was what you wanted to do growing up?
Oh, that's an interesting question. I've thought about that a bit. So growing up, my mom was a single mother, so we would clean the house every Saturday or Sunday. I'm starting to lose track now. I'm 27. My brain's going somewhere else. And she would turn on at the time 90s techno and Eurodance. And I loved it. Like, I loved dance music. I just knew I loved music. And, then I was in college, and, it kind of stuck with me the whole time. But then in college, like, it became such an obsession that I had to, my girlfriend at the time, my now fiance, took me to my first live show. I was 21. And from that moment on, like, from that point on, we went to over 100 live shows within the span of 2 years. And I became so, addicted to it. I didn't want it to just be an event for me. I wanted it to be part of who I was. Mm-hmm. So that's when I set up the Rave Chronicles and kind of put it into motion. And then from there, luckily, things fell into place, and I think, everything happens for a reason. Like, I could tell you the backstories of how I met these people. And I was just explaining to Ashley last night about how I met these people. It's a 1 in a million chance. And it's helped propel my career to somewhere I don't think it would be otherwise. But again, that gets back into the energy you give into the atmosphere. If you give that positive energy, people will find you.
That's right.
Amen to that, man.
Amen, guys. That's great, guys. Give it up for Dylan, guys.
Yes, please.
Yeah, and obviously we could sit here and talk all night and get into stuff, but I just want to say again, piggybacking off of what Mario said, you definitely inspire us a lot, and we're super thankful that we get to work with you closely, and to any of the artists out there that are looking to get some help or looking to kind of be surrounded by the right people
and just even get some one-on-one time with with Dylan.
Again, Dylan obviously is a super busy person, but he's been gracious enough to bless us with a partnership, so we're able to work with him and upcoming artists through our company CKG Entertainment. So if anybody's interested in getting that opportunity, head over to our website CKGEntertainmentLLC.com, or contact Mario or myself, and we can get you set up. We do an artist development course with Dylan once a month at the end of every month. So imagine having that opportunity to work hands-on with somebody who's number 2 on Billboard right now. Okay, I don't even need to say anything else about it. Okay, content's important and having that solid brand, but if people don't see you, you're not going to go anywhere. So it's important to hit your marketing, invest in yourself, and believe in yourself. Don't be afraid to step across the other side of fear.
Right, and going off of that, like I said, get out of your comfort zone. You know what I mean? Because the more you're out of your comfort zone, everything's going to be uncomfortable. But to the point, everything is going to be comfortable to you. You know what I mean? Regardless, whatever situation it is. So get yourself uncomfortable with everything. Push yourself to your limits. You know what I mean? And like I said, CKG is all about creativity, knowledge, and growth. We're not a record label, nothing like that. We're pretty much just trying to help inspire other artists as well. Take the means of operations when it comes to their music.
Yeah, and teach you, the things that people aren't talking about, that behind the scenes, work that gets you to number 2 on Billboard, get your people, get your music up into the thousands. So super important. Invest in yourself. Dylan, you already dropped so many amazing gems, and anybody at home watching, hopefully y'all was taking some notes. And everybody in the crowd, I know it's definitely great having the opportunity to sit and hear from you, Dylan. Is there anything else that you wanted to leave us with? Maybe a word of a takeaway, or a word of hope or something.
Yeah, I think a word of hope would be that a word of hope would be that no matter what you create, there's an audience out there for you. I think so often people just try to fit into one box, and everybody's doing that box. So unless you have a huge marketing budget, you're going to be competing with somebody that is label backed, backed by a publishing company, whatever it is. So if you have something unique, just find a unique way to market it, and there will be somebody there for you. And another thing I would say is this happens to me so often with artists I work with, do not always be within means, accept constructive criticism. I think so many people, when they hear constructive criticism, they automatically think that it's somebody being negative or hating on them, and it's not. It's as an A&R, that's one of my jobs at a label, is to help it's artists and repertoire. It's to get them to their best sound and get them to the best market. And so many times when I tell somebody hey, this needs change, they're like, no, this is what I want. And I was like, that's great, but I'm just giving you technicalities, and this would, I think it would do better this way. And then they'll shut down. Don't shut down, or tell me why. At least explain to me why you feel that it should be this way.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, with that being said, y'all, you know, once in a lifetime opportunity, sit here, you know, with Dylan and get the chance the week that his track is #2 on Billboard. You know what I mean? So definitely thank you for your time. Thank you for shedding the light on music. Shout out to the hip hop koala. We see you out there, baby.
Hey, where you at? Hey. He back there.
All right, y'all.